Yo, what is going on, guys? A couple more weeks left till Eagles training camp. But till then, I want to go over just a regular season in general. What do I expect from this offense in 2023? What needs to get better offensively and defensively? Kind of take what I took from last year, how we played last year when it comes down to players, coaching, all of that. And, you know, what do we really need to do to have a spectacular offense this year and a really good defense this year? And I think, you know, I kind of want to go through all of that with you and get your opinions on it as well. So let's get straight into it all.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Hope it's on a fantastic day today. I hope everyone enjoyed their weekend. I hope everyone's doing well as we sit for Eagles training camp, which I am very excited for. To go through, obviously, the offense and the defense, what I expect from these, both sides of the football going into 2023, what needs to get better position-wise, and what could change going into this year, would make a better offense, a better defense this year. So, first of all, when we talk about this offense, okay, obviously Jalen Hurts is the main piece of the puzzle to all of this, as I think he will be mechanically better even through OTAs. I know they're not in full pads yet, but I thought mechanically he looked really good. I thought his throws looked really good. I think he's just getting better by the year, and it's great to see. So he's really the least of my worries. I think the most important thing going into this season was, obviously getting a new offensive coordinator, which, Shane Steichen did leave, went to the Colts, and, I thought he did a pretty good job last year. Not a bad job at all. I think there were times where I could nitpick at things where maybe they could have ran with Miles Sanders a little bit more last year. It was like 5 or 6 games where Miles Sanders barely had any yards in the first half of a lot of games. Maybe overusing Jalen Hurts' his running skill set way too much. You want to keep your quarterback healthy. I mean, I have no issue on unleashing Jalen Hurts and just letting him do his thing, but you got to be careful down the line as well, because mobile quarterbacks do take a lot of hits, and got to, take it easy with that a little bit. But other than that, I was pretty good with it. Going to this year, obviously not having Shane Steichen. Now, I think the one important thing that we really wanted was, the relationship between Brian Johnson and Jalen Hurts is probably the most important, that you kind of want to keep that together. Obviously, Brian Johnson hasn't been an offensive coordinator since he was in Florida. Has been, next to Shane Steichen, and, been by his side, and, helping with the game plan every single week from last year. So it's a lot of good things to take in. But with Brian Johnson in the building now, I think this playbook is going to be, I think the playbook is going to open up a lot more. I think Brian Johnson is going to have his favorite targets that he's going to want to get the ball to, especially I think the number one thing the Eagles need to do offensively is get these running backs involved. These running backs have got to be heavily involved this year, okay? When Brian Johnson was the OC to Florida, got the running backs heavily involved. In the passing game especially, that's where I'm kind of honing in on. You have all this talent at running back right now. You have some low-risk, high-reward moves. Rashad Penny, I mean, how they're going to use him, I don't know. This what gets me pumped up and excited, because you have some studs back there. The issue is, can they stay healthy the whole year and not miss any time? Kenneth Gainwell has been a very productive back for us the past few years and has done a really good job. He was mainly the guy we used to pass to, running back-wise, him or Boston Scott when he had his chances, and Miles Sanders was kind of phased out of that. Now with, I think, having better running backs than Miles Sanders, if they're 100% healthy, and DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny, I think, is really going to turn up this offense like there's no tomorrow. Getting DeAndre Swift in the passing game, the exchange, the RPOs, the read options are going to be the defenses are going to be on their heels. They're not going to know what to do. Between the offensive line, between these running backs, between that exchange, if teams bite on a handoff or a fake handoff or play action, whatever, it's going to open up for the rest of this team, for the wide receivers, for the tight ends. So I feel like I don't really have much to complain about offensively from this team from this year going to last year going to this year, but it's, I think protection was great. I feel like, you know, everything was working how they were working. I think, obviously, Devontae Smith needs to be, you know, they need to attack with him more vertically this year. I thought they did last year later on, beginning of the season, first quarter of the season. Devontae Smith was really, you know, out routes, slants, like the little things, screen passes, you know, and then I think when Dallas Goedert ended up getting hurt, I think they really started to attack Devontae Smith a lot more in this offense, which I was really happy about. So I was pretty excited about that, and I think he's going to have a fantastic year. But yes, the running backs being heavily involved in the passing game is just having another running back as a dual threat is on top of the talent that you already have right now is going to change this offense drastically. You spread out that defense, you spread out the offense, spreads out the defense, and you have a check down factor now where you could check the ball down to DeAndre Swift or Rashad Penny. I mean, really, I just the open space between those two guys and what they could do. I mean, the way Rashad Penny could be used as like a bigger type bruiser back that can run between the tackles real nicely, could make guys miss an open space. DeAndre Swift, I think, has one of the best. I think he has one of the best elite visions as a running back in the league. I mean, that's how crazy it is. DeAndre Swift could change direction at a dime and go 100% speed. It's absolutely insane. You know, obviously, you know, you don't have to worry about the offensive line too much because, you know, obviously Kelsey's back. You know, you're really trying to figure out your right guard position, which is going to be between tylersteen and most likely Cam Jurgens, and I could probably have a feeling that Cam Jurgens probably will get the job, and Cam Jurgens really can't afford to have another redshirt year. He really needs to play this year. So running backs heavily involved. Number two with this offense, one thing that it kind of annoys me a little bit, but it comes down to Dallas Goedert, okay? Dallas Goedert needs to stay healthy. He goes through these little things with himself, and even though that injury really wasn't his fault, it was a face mask during that Washington game, and he got dragged to the ground and lost the football, and you know that game really pissed me off in a lot of ways. You know, Dallas Goedert, you know, always gets in these little injuries, and he's out for multiple weeks, and he could have probably had it close to 1,000 yards last year, a top of two 1,000-yard receivers and a 1,000-yard running back, which is kind of crazy. You know, I think, you know, Goddard, I mean, for my opinion, I think he's top three tight end. I mean, right now, I think he is. I think he's definitely top three in, you know, a lot of categories, and just what he could do. Because obviously, when you miss Dallas Goedert, you know, you're missing a heartbeat at that position. You know, because even with the depth at tight end right now, you know, Jack Stahl, Calcaterra I've been really liking a lot more because I think he's a really nice balance. I think his blocking has gotten a lot better. I didn't think he could really block at all, and he showed that he could do that last year. And he can get separation, and he catches the ball real well. And I think Jack Stahl is a bigger tight end, you know, that can. You know, obviously he has reliable hands, not the fastest guy, but can, you know, we use them at times when we had to. So you know, I know they signed the veteran. I forgot his name. I just had his name in my mind, but the veteran tight end that they did sign that came from the Jags, he's another one that I'm actually kind of seeing that, you know, maybe he makes some noise this year. You know, because I think theoretically they will keep three tight ends this year. I think his name is Dan Arnold. It just came to me. Yes, Dan Arnold's a veteran tight end that's coming in to the room as well, and to see what he could do. To have a veteran behind Dallas Goedert is not a bad thing at all. Would be great. But I think they're only going to keep three, and obviously Tyree Jackson is just some. I mean, this is Tyree Jackson's last shot to really show anything. He's been hurt the last couple years. Injuries have held him back. He's got all the talent in the world. You know, changing positions. I think he's got the talent. He just needs to play and be on the field, and that's one of the biggest issues we have at tight end right now. But yeah, Dallas Goedert just got to stay healthy the whole year, man. I mean, he misses 4, 5, 6 games. He has these little stints every year where he gets hurt, and you know, I get it, whether it's his fault or not. You know, he can't miss any time, and I think that's a big piece. As long as, like, look, your wide receiver 3 position should be an upgrade now, having Quez and having Alamadi Zaccheaus at that position right now, and having Dallas Goedert healthy is only going to help that, because I think, you know, the three, I think when Dallas Goedert's not playing, you're not getting a lot of productivity at tight end. You know, and wide receiver 3, obviously Quez was either phased out or was a grade 2 shoulder sprain, whatever it was, you know, and Quez didn't have a bad year. He just made some crucial drops that were really important, or made some crucial mistakes, a few of them. And, you know, it's not like he dropped 18 catches last year, you know what I mean? So I so I totally get it. But I think, like I said, I think it comes down to getting the running backs involved in the passing game. Wide receiver 3 is a big one. And yeah, I think Dallas Goedert, he really needs to stay healthy this year. He's got to stay healthy. I'm not saying he missed so much time, but yeah, he missed a lot of time. Then, you know, the Eagles are good, and Shane Steichen was good last year on when injuries did occur. You know, you have so many weapons in your offense. There's just so much more you could do. And even there, and what I really liked about them, and I think Brian Johnson's going to do the same thing, he's not afraid to use a backup or get somebody else involved, you know, or he strictly has to use another great weapon to make plays. No, he will use backups. He will use whatever he has, because, you know, Jack Stahl will probably look fantastic at tight end. Calcaterra will look probably fantastic at tight end, but from what's around them, you know, they might not get a lot of attention, but, you know, they have more opportunity now to make plays because other teammates on offense will get more, you know, they will get more attention at times. So I think those are the main things offensively that really needs to work out. I'm not even making a big deal about it. I'm just nitpicking at this point, but I think the big one here is getting the running backs involved in the passing game, no doubt. So offensively, that's what I think. Defensively, I mean, all we need is a brain. I mean, all we need is a capable human being that's not a robot, that's not afraid to take chances and sacrifice some of his play calling to, I mean, I love Sean Desai, what he said at his press conference, you know, getting pressure on quarterbacks, creating ways to get pressure on quarterbacks. This is... He wants to have a violent defense. And you know what? You know, a blitz rate of 22.6%. Sean Desai was a disciple of Vic Fangio for a few years, okay? Worked under Vic Fangio for a few years, and then became the defensive coordinator in 21. In 2021, Sean Desai did not have the type of talent that he has right now. This is the best defense he's ever going to have, personnel-wise, yes. Okay, other than really safety, you know, what's going on at safety, which it's not, I'm not really making a big deal about with the competition there. Linebacker's probably the biggest one, probably the weakest one, because really outside Nakobe Dean, like, you know, Nicholas Morrow, what is he going to do? And, you know, can Davion Taylor stay healthy and maybe, you know, make a big push for a roster spot? I don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? Is Kyron Johnson going to step up at outside linebacker? Or are they going to move him? Patrick Johnson? I really don't know. Okay. I feel like they need to add a body there, obviously. But when it comes down to the coaching, okay, you can compensate. If you have less talent in your defense, you have to compensate for it, and you have to be creative with your defense to get pressure on quarterbacks. If you don't have a good enough defensive line, good enough linebackers, you have to compensate for that. And I think with Sean Desai, what he did in 21, top 10 against the pass, bottom 10 against the run, so didn't do well there. A top 5 in sacks. I mean, still created ways to get pressure on quarterbacks. And obviously this defense is going to be pretty much just like Gannon's, but you're actually going to have a brain and some creativity behind it. All we need is some creativity. Last year was just such a waste, and I was seeing it, not a waste as in, you know, it was a waste to watch, but I was seeing the signs from Gannon early in the season. You know, 21, Gannon said that he didn't have enough, you know, players or enough talent in his defense to run in his defense. You know what I mean? And then 22 came along last year, and, you know, Jordan Davis goes down. They pick up 2 defensive line. Like Howie Roseman was literally just signing guys and giving Gannon no excuse. You know what I mean? So, you know, and when it all mattered the most, he failed. Okay, and that's the big problem that I had. And yes, Sean Desai is definitely, this is a first, you know, how many of us want to deal with another first-year defensive coordinator? Not me. I mean, he's not a first year. He just hasn't done it since 21, so it's been a few years. But it's not going to change the way he does things. I mean, even Reed Blankenship at his press conference talking about, you know, a violent defense, and Sean Desai talking about he wants this team to be this defense to be feared, remembered. You know, putting, you know, fear into offenses and finding ways to get pressure on quarterbacks, whether hitting them or or, you know what I mean? Like, just the things that he was saying in that press conference, I'm not quoting it perfectly right, but I just liked what I heard, but I have to see it with my own two eyes. I think really you have the talent here this year. Besides some safety competition, which I'm not even worried about that position as much, but I think linebacker is probably the biggest one for me, like I said before, because I feel like, yes, dude, there's a lot of linebackers still out there. If you want to get Quan Alexander, Miles Jack, Deion Jones, Zach Cunningham, Rashaan Evans, Kyle Van Noy. I mean, there's so many linebackers available free agency wise, or if you want to go after Patrick Queen, Isaiah Simmons to be a trade, then you do that. I think this is going to be a nice wait and see approach by the Philadelphia Eagles and Howie Roseman to see what we have in that room. I have no. I would love to sign Yannick Ngakoue. You know, Derek Barnett is part of the third rotation. Obviously, I've talked about this a million times because you have Graham, you have Reddick, you have Sweat, you have Nolan Smith, then you have Derek Barnett, and then you need to complete that third rotation. So adding Yannick to like a 2-year deal, something like that, give him a home for 2 years and just let him go out there. And he averages 7 to 9 sacks a season, 9.5 sacks a season. So but really been a fantastic player. So really, other than making some moves like that, if they really want to do it, I mean, really, we have to go through the whole thing of training camp, see what we have. And then, if it seems like we really, these coaches have meetings after every day of training camp, and they talk about the position groups, they talk about what's going on. Do they need to go out and acquire somebody? So everything is still in motion. But with Sean Desai as a quality control guy under Vic Fangio, being next to Vic Fangio on the sidelines every single week with the Bears, then getting his chance at defensive coordinator, and really he was bottom 10 against the run. So I mean, that's really it. He probably didn't have the defensive line that year. I mean, I have to go back and look at that whole entire roster. I looked at some of it, and they didn't really have a lot of talent, but you have a guy right here that can compensate for less talent back in 21 and statistically looked pretty good. Besides against that defense against the run, I thought he did pretty good. And now with what he has now compared to that, it's night and day difference. So there's a lot going on here. So that's all I really, just be more aggressive with this defense, really. I mean, be aggressive with this defense. Be smart. Don't get beat on the same play 2 times. You know what I mean? He just, as long as Desai is somewhat creative, I think we're going to have a successful defensive coordinator in the building. Like I said, it's too early to tell, but can it actually get worse? I mean, can it get worse than last year? And we won 14 games last year. You know what I mean? We got to the Super Bowl last year, but we have to get over that hump right now and get that second championship. And Gannon just got beat mentally. He was embarrassing. He was totally embarrassing. Now, there's blame on the coach. There's blame on the players. There's blame on special teams, which got the defense in a bad position. But after the Jalen Hurts scoop and score, I mean, we were still up by 10 points at half. I mean, I wasn't even worried about that. Just get the football in Jalen Hurts' hands. The defense has got to get the ball in Jalen Hurts' hands. Get him the football. And things could have been a lot different. So, you know what I mean? So it just comes down to this man right here to have a brain during game day and to, don't move your cornerbacks. I understand if you need to move your cornerbacks 8 to 10 yards off the line, that's fine. But when you're doing it all game and when you want your guys to react more than attack, you're not going to win football games this way. I mean, they won games that way. Thank God they had a high explosive offense, because if they didn't have that last year, we would have lost a lot of games because of this defense. I mean, even letting teams score field goals last year and just letting them come down the field. I mean, I couldn't stand it. Gannon would have teams by their necks. He would have their foot on their necks, and he would just let his foot off by that second half, and it just annoyed me every single game. Giving teams life, giving offenses life every single game, and it really annoyed me in that factor. So that just has to get better. You step on their neck, you keep your foot there. You don't let go, because you could screw yourself over in the process. So don't do that. Other than that, that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm excited for the new coordinators this year. New coordinators this year. Some new players on the roster. What they could change offensively and defensively. There's so much to talk about and do the next few weeks. I can't wait till training camp, joint practices with the Bears and the Colts. We got preseason games. To see more of the back end to our roster and stuff like that. how they're using these running backs between Penny and Swift. I'm kind of really interested to see how they do that with both of those guys and how they use them at certain moments, and who do they favor more in this offense running back wise is going to be an interesting one too. I don't know, running backs are interesting. Obviously, talk about Dallas Goedert, got to stay healthy. The back end of the tight end group we've talked about as well, because I think we need, I think our depth is pretty good right now. You got a veteran and Dan Arnold, and you have, Grant Calcaterra, and you got Jack Stahl. So, and defensively, just have a brain and create ways to get pressure on QBs and just be violent. That's all. That's all I want. So, other than that, let me know what you guys think about Sean Desai and this defense. What do you think needs to get better with this defense going to this year? What do you think this offense needs to improve on? That's probably the two things I want to ask you guys. Leave a comment in the comment section below. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, you last this long in this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video as well. Just help out the channel out a lot, in a lot of ways. And we're waiting on training camp. So, you guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you guys on the next one. Remember, Shakes what up, follow us. Peace out, guys. Peace.